This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are the things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
We know you have a lot on your holiday to-do list. And at the UPS Store, we're here to help. With our Pack and Ship Guarantee, your gifts will arrive intact or you'll be reimbursed. Got holiday cards to print? We're also the premier printing store. We've got everything you need for every way you holiday. Visit the upsstore.com/guarantee for full details. Most locations are independently owned. Product services, prices, and hours of operation may vary. See Center for details. The UPS Store. Be unstoppable. Come into your local store today.
Millions of families have fallen in love with themselves on their skylight frames, with close to 2 million frames sold across 34 countries and over 675 million photos and videos shared. What? Skylight Frame is a tried and true way to stay connected with family and friends. So this holiday season, give the gift that keeps on giving: memories. Whether it's for grandparents who adore seeing the grandkids' latest antics, or a friend who loves capturing every moment, the Skylight Frame is the perfect gift to bring joy and connection into any home. And a really fun thing you could do with it is use it in gift mode. Make it the ultimate surprise. You could preload it with your favorite photos before gifting the frame, and then when the person who gets the frame plugs it in, they'll see all those special memories ready for immediate enjoyment. I love things when they're ready for immediate enjoyment. This is better than any other way to share photos, right? You can have your long text message chains where you're trying to find the right photo or you don't look at them enough. Do you know the Skylight Frame can hold up to 8,000 photos with 8 gigabytes of space, and satisfaction is guaranteed? We're confident you'll love Skylight. They offer free 120-day returns. Wow. And for a limited time, get 20% off your purchase off a Skylight Frame when you go to ca.skylightframe.com/hockey. That's right. To get 20% off your Skylight Frame, just go to ca.skylightframe.com/hockey. That's ca.skylightghtframe.com/hockey.
What's up, champs? Welcome to another episode of the Short Shifts Fantasy Hockey Podcast, brought to you by Keeping Karlsson. I'm your host, Jeremy Versillo, and joining me tonight, my pal and yours, Elizabeth. Elizabeth, how are you doing on this fine Tuesday evening?
I'm doing good on this Tuesday evening. I'm not the lucky winner of the 100 extra points on my players yet in Yahoo like you, but it's still going pretty good. My team's looking good. I won my matchups last week, so we're going into this cold season looking good.
Yeah, I'm going to be very disappointed when I wake up tomorrow and pull up Yahoo and I'm not winning by a score of 217-13 because Yahoo's stat tracker is on the fritz right now.
Yeah.
Well, fantasy hockey, websites aside, let's get into the news. First up, we have a trio of hat tricks since the last episode of Keeping Karlsson. We had John Tavares on Sunday against the Buffalo Sabres. Kiefer Sherwood last night against, I forget who Vancouver was playing last night. And then Patrik Laine tonight, also against the Buffalo Sabres. Are any of these of great interest to you, or just good players being good players?
I think for the most part, we're talking good players being good players. I mean, the Tavares and Laine against Buffalo, that might be saying something about Buffalo. But that's a topic for maybe a little down the road here, a couple short shifts in. We'll see how they turn it around. But with Sherwood, I think there is some interest there. He's definitely showing he belongs maybe in a draft, right? Like we're talking about a guy who is performing quite well. He got 20 full points on Monday, and he's averaging 5 a game. This is not somebody that I think will be overlooked next year. I think this year a couple people probably were lucky, got him on that waiver wire, but I don't think that's happening again.
The wild thing about Sherwood is he's not like this young rookie coming up. He's been around for a while. Apparently this summer he talked to the coach of the Vancouver Canucks and said, hey, there's some more offense in my game that you haven't seen yet. And the coach is like, okay, prove it. And he certainly has. He's already set his career high in goals with that hat trick last night. The other one I want to call attention to is Patrik Laine. Laine is looking like his old self. He's shooting 3.3 times per game. He looks very comfortable on that Montreal power play and has some sneaky good distributors on that power play with him. Cole Caulfield isn't just a shooter. Suzuki's great with the puck. So people who have Laine must be very happy that they held him through the hard times.
Absolutely. It's a good, I mean, he's a strong player. We know he's good. And I think that he is probably very happy with how this is working. And he's gelling with the team really well. So I like it.
He's a hard guy not to root for, knowing what he's gone through. That has some, personal significance to me also. So I'm always going to be a Patrik Laine fan. Yeah. On the injury side, we have a couple of unfortunate injuries. First of all, Anthony Stolarz out 4 to 6 weeks. Other than the obvious of Joseph Woll getting most of the starts, are there any things to be concerned about here for you?
I don't think there's anything concerning here. I did like some of the comments about what is going on with Stolarz, though. So for those who haven't heard, he went for an MRI. They didn't find any structural damage, so that is why this is a 4 to 6 week out. But they said he was having discomfort, and there was a small piece of broken off bone or cartilage there. And so they're just calling it a little pebble, was the quote that was stuck behind his knee. And well, that doesn't sound very good to me. I just thought it was a fun way to talk about an injury for once. Usually we're hearing the worst case scenarios, and this just seems to be like it should be an easier in and out, a little bit of rehabbing. I am interested in seeing how Woll does with this production. I mean, he's averaging 2.24 goals against right now. He's got a .918. I think he'll get the majority of the starts like we're all expecting. And then we've got Hildeby coming in as the backup, and I wouldn't expect him to start a ton of games, so not very fantasy relevant in my opinion.
I will take a mea culpa here on Woll. In the last short shift episodes on Thursday, I kind of implied that he hadn't been very good lately, and I was wrong. I have not been paying close enough attention. He has only given up 4 goals once this season, and it was back on October 24th, his first start. So in his limited alternating starts, he's been very solid with some impressive advanced stats too. I think the only concern with him is he's had the injury bug at every level he's played at. I'm not sure if they're going to try to ease his workload. Hildeby does not inspire much confidence currently, so they may just have to ride him and pray he does not also get hurt.
Yeah, he's just got to live out that 4 to 6 weeks, right? We just need him to be good. And there's the holiday kind of break in there, so it'll be a little bit lighter.
Another injured goalie. Tell me about Filip Gustavsson and how concerning that one is.
Yeah, so this one a little bit more interesting because we don't have a lot of information. He's out with a lower body injury and it's still being evaluated. But what I like to hear is that head coach John Hines says that he thinks this is going to be short term. So we know Fleury's going to get the start on Wednesday. I believe that's been announced. And we're good to go there. But we also have a back-to-back coming up on the weekend. And so I would also expect Fleury to get at least one of those starts normally. So I would expect him to get 2 games this week, which does make him a little bit more interesting from a fantasy perspective. Now, he hasn't been doing great. If you're looking at him for the Kakko, I would say you're probably going to end the week with around 10 Kakko points holding him. But what I'm hoping for is he does like a Wednesday, Friday, and you can swap him out on the weekend. Then we've got Jesper Wallstedt in there. And again, until we hear more on Gustavsson, don't rush out and buy. This is something you can wait on and see.
I added Fleury in one of my leagues with the hopes of exactly what you said, a Wednesday, Friday. I think the biggest concern for anybody who added Fleury is, first of all, that Wednesday start is against Florida, who found their scoring touch again last night. And there's always the chance that they go Fleury Wednesday, Wallstedt Friday, and then Saturday, Gustavsson is back, and you add a guy and only get 1 start. But that's something you can kind of read the tea leaves as it gets closer. Filip Gustavsson's been one of the stars this year as far as mid to late round picks who are really panning out. I think as far as return on investment goes, he has to be one of the best draft picks people have had this year.
Absolutely. And I would love to see him come back Saturday. I think the Winnipeg-Minnesota matchup would be a fun one to watch, especially on a Saturday games where there's lots of games to choose from. But those 2 goalies going up against each other would be really nice. But it's a wait and see. And with that note that it should be short term, that could mean anything from pre-Christmas to post-Christmas, in my opinion.
True, with the extra break coming up, they may just give him a couple extra days. Next up, we have a trio of outjuries, or 2 outjuries and an almost outjury. In New York with the Islanders, Bo Horvat and Mathew Barzal have both returned. I don't think either of them have a point yet. Anthony Duclair, who has been out a bit longer than those guys, has been practicing in full, but isn't quite comfortable getting back into game action yet. I suspect we'll see him before the end of the week, though. I don't think he's the type of player they'll send on a conditioning stint. Maybe they'll give him 1 game down in Bridgeport. But I think really with these guys, just get him back in your lineup or add Duclair directly to your IR if you can, because he isn't quite back yet.
Absolutely. And this is good for Islanders fans, but it's good for people who are holding these guys. Horvat, he's only missed one game, but Barzal missed 21 games. We've got Duclair on his 28th missed game today. That's a lot of games to be missing. It's also going to cause a big shakeup with that Islander top 6. So one of the things I'd be keeping my eye on is I know a lot of people were really excited about how Tsyplakov, hopefully I know the European guys came out and all said their names. I'm still not good at it. I'm trying, guys. But he is one of the ones that I would be watching just to see where he lands. He's been doing so well, but he's had 16 to 18 minutes of ice time to do that with. And I just think that he is going to be one of the guys who unfortunately sees a bit of a drop. So definitely watch him if you're holding him and see where he lands in those practices.
The other guy that I am planning on dropping after tonight's game is J.G. Pageau. He was up playing first-line right wing, and now that their 3 first-line players are all back, he's probably playing third-line center again because he's got that broader skill set. Another injury to talk about, Ivan Barbashev is day-to-day now. What can you tell me about his replacements?
Yeah, so he left Sunday's game. He got a little mixed up with Foligno during the play. So he's been looking really good. I think they're going to have a tough time just saying we've got a replacement for him. He's had 30 points in 31 games. So if he's out long term, there's definitely some interest there on who's going to step up. But Vegas doesn't play till Thursday, so there's not a lot that we can do in the interim to see what's going on. I would be looking at Victor Olofsson, who has been on a bit of a hot streak lately. He's been looking really good. And Pavel Dorofeyev. See, I keep getting the tricky ones. Jeremy did this on purpose, guys. But unfortunately, they're not going to just step into that Barbashev spot and take over. I think it's something to watch for when Olofsson isn't scoring. He's really not that interesting. He actually had a cardio session on December 3rd. So you do have to watch to see where these guys are fitting in and going. It does look like it's going to be Pavel Dorofeyev who does get into that top 6 if Barbashev is out on Thursday's game, but just something to watch for and keep an eye on. But I'm sure we'll have more from Shams and Lewis on Thursday on that.
Yeah, hopefully Shams and Lewis can give us a timeline for Barbashev instead of the probably day-to-day but going to miss a couple of games that the coach gave us. Of the 2 replacements, I'm much more interested in Olofsson than Dorofeyev. I think Olofsson's spot on power play 1 could lead to him dealing a lot of damage. It seems like he likes playing there, and they keep getting him in the puck. He's got a couple power play goals in the past few games. I'd honestly be looking to add him even if Barbashev comes back. I think Vegas has enough offensive firepower to sustain a line 3 power play 1 fantasy asset. Last but not least, the New York Rangers have had some injury and non-injury related line shakeups. Artemi Panarin missed both Sunday's game and tonight's game on Tuesday. Not really much news on what's going on there, so that's never fun. Hopefully he gets well soon, as many managers and the Rangers themselves are missing him. Also, Kakko was scratched for Sunday's game and is back in the lineup today. That's kind of fringe relevant. I'm actually regretting even mentioning that because we've talked about cutting the more fringe relevant players in our short shifts to keep them short. Do you have any additional info on Panarin, or did I miss something?
I don't think there's much more to go on with Panarin. He was skating this morning, but he wasn't skating with the team. He wasn't in practice, so that PP1 looked like Fox, Zibanejad, Trocheck, Kreider, and Lafreniere. But again, if he's already on the ice, this is hopefully a short-term thing, and we do see him come back like they've said.
again, the Christmas break is going to help that. Having a 3-game stretch with no games will hopefully get him back a little bit sooner for you. With that, let's pop into our ad break, and we'll be right back.
Don't you love that communal feeling as you're walking into a hockey arena, knowing that you are all about to experience a hockey game together with a bunch of strangers wearing mostly the same jersey, depending on where and when and who you're seeing? I like that feeling too. And listen, it's easy to get that feeling when you buy your tickets with Game Time. Game Time has a new feature too called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. They'll filter out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. I'm looking on my Game Time app right now, and I can actually just look at all the Sens games coming up. Penguins, Rangers, Bruins, with pictures showing me where each seat is located and all-in prices available to me too. What more could I ask for? The seat views are amazing. You can get like this panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. They also give you the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. That's called giving it 110%. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code THPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code THPN for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time.
The 2024-25 NHL season still has that new car smell, and the action is heating up at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first-timers to get started at DraftKings Sportsbook. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. You can also pick on a player to score a goal. You can bet on a whole bunch of things. And if you're new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN, stands for the Hockey Podcast Network, for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ice.
Welcome back. In the second half, we've got some hot and cold streaks for you, although this time it's mostly cold streaks just because of the players I happen to find. First up, we've got Andrei Svechnikov. What can you tell me about Svechnikov's last couple games?
He is on a cold streak. He's had 0 points in 3 games, and those games were against San Jose, Ottawa, and the Columbus Blue Jackets. And I feel bad mentioning that, but I do think it needs to be mentioned because we all know that those are teams that have been letting in a lot of goals. The other thing is he had 2 big games on December 5th and 7th where he got 6 points in 2 games. So you're getting a little bit of a dry spell right now, but he kind of gave it to you earlier in the month. It was like an early Christmas present, if you will. So there is something to be said there. His 4 games before that were a little bit slow as well, but that was 2 Florida games, a Seattle game, and a Rangers game. So I'm not too worried here. I'm looking at this and seeing it as we're just seeing a little bit of a slowdown, and he's going to come right back. The next 4 games are against the Islanders, Capitals, Rangers, and Sabres, and that's all before the holidays. And I think you can expect to see a couple of points in those games. If I had to bet, no one's making me, but if I had to, I would say that at least 2 of those games he'll go off. We'll see some points come back before the break.
And that is a bit of a dated card because, we added those cards in this afternoon, and Svechnikov scored a power play goal today. So already looking good on your prediction of him putting in some points.
That's how you make good predictions.
Next up, we've got another cold streak / I'm going to ask you a bit of permission to drop. Yuri Slafkovsky, despite the fact that the short shifts curse is alive and well, and he has 2 points today, before that, he only had 1 point in his last 7 games. His time on ice was dropping. He was only shooting once or twice per game. To me, he's kind of approaching third wheel territory where, like, every single McDavid, McKinnon, whoever third wheel, everybody wants to add them, but they don't have a ton of value. maybe his closest approximation right now is Arturi Lehkonen up on McKinnon's line, where he does have some fantasy value, but isn't an undroppable asset. Do you think people have permission to drop Slafkovsky, or was I a bit trigger happy to talk about that?
So I do think we were a little trigger happy, and I'm going to say we because I, started writing my notes this afternoon, and I was like, yeah, maybe keep him for the Friday game was what I had in my notes here. But I don't know what to expect. I also am one of these people who sometimes the third guy on the line just isn't as exciting. So you've got to let him go. He's not really pulling in the points right now. So for me, the leash is not very long. I would stick with my previous notion of keeping him till Friday, seeing what happens on Friday. But then I'm probably looking to replace him as we go into the new year after the break, because it's just not interesting for me to keep somebody like that on my team, especially if you're kind of in those bubble positions right now where you're sort of making playoffs, sort of not. You've got to make these drastic cuts early and start trying to find somebody to replace them if they're not producing, and then just keep an eye on them. That's what the watch list is for.
Montreal is also one of those teams that plays mostly busy nights, so you may only be getting 2 games in a week from him if you hold on to him. I will say I really like him as a player. We had high praises for the power play unit over there earlier in the episode, so he's someone I'd like to keep. I think I was just trying to make myself feel better because I actually dropped him in a league on Sunday because I needed a desperation start to get a win, and it worked out. I got 6.5 points from Samsonov and won that matchup by 2. So it was worth the drop, but kind of.
And that's what people need to look at is who are you overlooking by keeping somebody like this who is maybe up and down on your team when you could be either streaming someone in for a big night or ideally grabbing somebody who's just going to go off and go on a hot streak for you.
Speaking of hot streaks, our one hot streak we have for this segment is Alex Vlasic in Chicago. 8 points in his last 9 games, 2 to 3 shots in each game. Unfortunately, Seth Jones seems to be on the mend, so this may be irrelevant by the time you listen to it or later this week. Any words of praise for Alex Vlasic?
I just have to agree with you. It's nice to see people stepping up. This Chicago team is dealing with a lot of injuries. We've seen them battle through, but it's nice to hear that Jones is coming back. I do think Vlasic has done a lot to step up, and I think that the coaches will appreciate that. But yeah, expect that he will have to go back down when Jones is here.
And I think it's pretty impressive what he's actually been doing because from a prospect perspective, he was kind of a mid-tier, bottom 4, more two-way defenseman, not expected to have a ton of offensive jump. And he's really shown a lot to the point where I think other teams, if he ends up in free agency or Chicago in a couple years' time, may be looking to use him as their power play quarterback. Like he looks pretty good there from my eye test. Speaking of power play quarterback defensemen, 2 cold ones, Mackenzie Weegar and Dougie Hamilton. What can you tell me about either of those 2 guys?
Yeah, so let's start with Weegar because I am somebody who is also holding Weegar. It's been 4 games without a point. He's only at 4 in his last 10. I know he's a defenseman and everyone's going to say you can't bank on your goals from your defenseman, but it's still really nice to get them, okay? He's still hitting and blocking, so we're not going to totally overlook him. But this is getting to be a pretty frosty streak, and I would love to see him get out of this and see some more points from him because right now he's averaging 2 or 3 full points a game, and that's just not enough to be where he's being positioned within the team, right? He's cold, but that deployment is really going to allow for that rebound. And I don't know if it was intentional, but I noticed this because, like I said, he's on my team, so I'm watching these for these little things, but his ice time did come down just by a few minutes the last few games. So I'm wondering if they're trying to give him a little bit of a break to try to restart him. That's my hopes and dreams, though.
Weegar is one of my favorite defensemen in the league, just really good player. I love the hits and blocks he provides for fantasy. I think you're right that he may be slipping a bit. Actually, the Flames as a whole haven't been scoring as much lately. So hopefully a nice little break will get him back where he needs to be.
Absolutely. And then I'll just jump right into Dougie Hamilton because he started the season really strong. And let's remember that he came back from a pretty rough injury that had him out for a while. So I have a long leash with Dougie Hamilton, but 5 games without a point and his shots are now down. It is starting to get concerning. And again, this is another defenseman averaging about 2 couple points a game. And you know how we all feel about those low points when we're talking about our couple teams. We don't like it. So I haven't watched a ton of those Jersey games lately, but my gut intuition does say that this is a blip. He's going to get back to his average. I would say expecting closer to 4-ish points in the cupful per game. He's still PP1. He's still getting that top pairing. I know Luke Hughes is waiting there for his turn. He wants to take it over, but they haven't done anything to indicate that shuffle to me yet. So I think we can hold out, ride out this cold streak, and he'll still be good as to go.
I think that's a good call out that I would not be particularly concerned about Luke Hughes taking over that job immediately. Obviously, Hughes has a bright future and is the long-term power play 1 quarterback. But for now, while Hamilton's there and healthy, I think he'll be playing it. Another point of concern of Hamilton is his hit and block numbers have kind of dropped off the last few games. And he's never been a huge hitter and blocker, but it seems like it's dipped even more recently. Maybe it's just another guy going through the winter hibernation that needs to get back in gear.
I like that. We'll just call this our defenseman hibernating episode.
It's kind of what it's been. That's all we've got time for tonight. Thank you for joining us. If you enjoyed our show, please consider joining the Keeping Karlsson Patreon group at keepingkarlsson.com/Patreon. Super supporters receive ad-free episodes, and you can interact with Brian, Elon, Elizabeth, myself, and all the other talented fantasy managers in our active Discord server. Please check out GameDayTweets.com to get all the best info from Twitter without having to deal with the rest of Twitter. It includes team-by-team and searchable tweets by player name. Visit that site and the other great sites we use to research our episodes with at Yahoo, Frozen Tools, and Natural Stat Trick. Our intro and outro music was created by Pat Roach. Till we see you next time, play smart and keep your shifts short.
She said, get out the chat room and clean mine. Stretch, feeling fine, so fresh.
The Glad Girl Group coming at you with a throwback jam. That was Glad Force Flex Drawstring Trash Bags featuring Pine Sol Original Scent. And that's better than all good. It's all Glad.
This podcast is brought to you by Kleenex Lotion Tissues. You can't predict sick days, but with Kleenex Lotion Tissues, you can be better prepared for them while helping keep your skin healthy. Kleenex Lotion Tissues moisturize to help prevent skin irritation while you're battling those unwanted cold and flu symptoms. It's extra care when you need it most. Keep relief within reach. Grab Kleenex Lotion Tissues to help avoid the added discomfort of irritated skin during cold and flu season. For whatever happens next, grab Kleenex.
After the end of a good fight, you deserve an ice-cold reward. Medela, you put in the hours, the energy, the tough labor, because you know the bigger the fight, the better the reward. Medela, the mark of the fighter. Drink responsibly. Beer imported by Crown Imports, Chicago, Illinois.
The most wonderful time of the year. Although, let's be honest, around the holidays, things really add up. But here's the good news. Only at Verizon, you can get a single line for $50 per month when you switch and bring your phone. So while ice skating for two is definitely costing more, here at Verizon, you can save. Gifts for your third cousins? Steep. A single line with Verizon? Not so steep. A real tree? Pricey. A single line with Verizon? Less pricey. Flights to see Mima and Pops? Those are up. A $50 per month single line? That's down. Even a trip to the Atlanta Holiday Market will cost you more. But with Verizon, you can switch and bring your phone for just $50 per month for a single line on unlimited welcome, with autopay plus taxes and fees. All this to say, during the holiday season, when everything is costing more, you can get more for less right now at a local Verizon store. $15 monthly promo credits applied over 36 months with a new line on unlimited welcome. In times of congestion, unlimited 5G, 4G LTE may be temporarily slower than other traffic. Domestic data roaming at 2G speeds. Additional terms apply.
Miles here is an electrician running wiring for this new home build.
Good morning.
Miles doesn't have time for funny business.
I guess.
Miles traded up to serious commercial auto insurance from Geico for customized coverage that grows with his business, all for seriously low rates.
So where's the Geico surprise cameo?
Come again?
You know, like some big famous football player or something. He's gonna bust for that Wall, isn't he?
No, this ad is serious business.
Guys, get over here. You gotta see this.
No, there's nothing funny over here. Sorry. Get more with Geico Commercial Insurance. Trade up today at geico.com/commercial.